I am and still figuring out who I am, I've learned that term no new friends is complete bullshit, because I've met people who had more intention for me in a span of a month than someone I've known all my life. So that don't matter to me. And
no, that's true. I'll definitely say that, because I have met people that are not even from where I'm from, and I can connect with them on a higher level, and they can be a completely different race than I am.
Right.
And because I've been conditioned to think a certain way, I've had to actually check myself and say, it's okay to be exposed to a world different from yours, because at the end of the day, if you want to evolve, then you can't limit yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so you, just like I said, you have the ultimate ability to surround yourself around people that are different from where you come from. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to you on how consistent you will be, because evolution is a consistent thing. It's not limited, you know. But I do know, and I speak to my black people, and I say this,
With
that
the
is
most
hard.
love.
With the most love, but the most raw shit, because at the end of the day, I'm not playing no more games. Let's just talk about what it is, you know, which is we have a hard time accepting that we have individual voices. And I think it's because we've been raised of a let me guide you era. But the guiding is so aggressive
and very strict.
And it can also, it can oftentimes come off as disrespectful unintentionally. And the fact that it's unintentional means that there is a problem that needs to be fixed, and it's okay to identify the problem. And see, I can talk about this with a person of an older generation, but I would have to have a very long conversation with them, because they won't let up.
Okay, they gonna tell you every which way why your logic is screwed up. And justify with theirs. And I'm like, but did you hear what I say, though?
But did you hear what I said, though?
Right.
But did you hear what I said, nigga?
Nana, listen, I love you, sis. But you not listening to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just feel like, I think if you challenge that authority, it's disrespectful. And you're not allowed to come across as disrespectful to your elders, because, you know, as black people, we always been taught, respect your elders. And I think any decent, you know, any person, regardless of race, has probably been taught that. But it's like within that black community, it's like, don't you even dare think about disrespecting Gigi.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Gigi been wrong all her damn life. That's why she got 10 baby daddies.
10 baby daddies.
Because, you know, back in the day, they had squads. Okay? They ain't have 5, you know, 2 children. They had villages.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But didn't call it hoeing. It wasn't hoeing. Y'all hoeing, though. This generation is hoeing like a motherfucker.
We some hoes out here.
But y'all niggas wasn't using condoms at all.
Busting it wide open.
Well, did they even have condoms back in the day?
I don't know. It was just shoot up the club and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
No, it is. It is. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, because at the end of the day, we all experience what we experience based off our circumstances, and we deal with them how we deal with them. And that's the same thing as the older generation. It's okay to make a mistake, and it's okay to also be the black sheep of whatever you were raised around or whatever, because at the end of the day, that makes you an individual. It is up to you on how you going to handle that situation.
Right.
How you going to get out of whatever you're going through and evolve out of that and be okay with making a mistake, because that's what humans do at the end of the day, you know? So, I had something in my mind and I forgot about it because I think I'm getting a little tipsy. But you were talking about something. You were talking about something specific. We were talking about the black community and sometimes they can be aggressive with the delivery as far as our guardians. And then we were talking about Lord. Look, let's make it real. Let's make it real, because humans forget.
Right. I think let's just say that as time progresses and we continue to put the mission work in for this podcast, this is for everybody. We will be mindful of shit. Let me tell you, we might have to slow down.
Well, no, this is the thing though. It's so many subjects to touch.
It's so many subjects to
that
touch.
It's kind of like it's really hard to narrow it down. And I think our excitement is also getting the best of us too, or whatever.
Excited.
So obviously, we need to drink the rest of this wine and get high, so we can move on to the next
we can move
part.
forward. But again, let's just wrap up by saying that we hope that you find something within this podcast that will touch you in some sort of way. That eventually. So let me just break down how we want this show to kind of go.
We'll break it down quickly.
I got about 5 more minutes in my head.
Do what you do.
Okay.
Do what you do.
So in my head, we are centered around because we are so connected to the Black church. We kind of had this idea. Excuse me, y'all. We kind of had this idea of how we wanted the show to kind of flow. So just a rundown of, in the Black church, we got certain segments, right?
Yes.
So
yes, sir.
You got the church announcements.
Go ahead.
You got your praise and worship. Uh-huh. You got your sermon. You got your benediction.
Okay.
So within those subtitles or subsections, that is how we're going to move our show forward through. So we're going to touch on some little church announcements. Yeah. That'll be our segment where we kind of touch on what's going on in our lives, what we have coming up. Also, we want to definitely highlight some people in the community that are out here just doing their fucking shit too. Yeah. If you are a Black-owned business or you have something that you really want to put out here, definitely send it to us. Our email is going to be thisisforeverybodypodcast@gmail.com. So definitely send in all that information, wanting us to kind of like go over your business with you and trying to, because, I like to put everybody on.
Yes.
I'm not a hater, and I just want to be able to shout out different people that's still out here doing their thing. So that'll be in our church announcements. Also, again, things we have coming up and things we're working on. And then our praise and worship segment, that is definitely going to be one of those pop culture segments. We want to talk about what's current in the world right now, shade room type shit.
Mm-hmm.
And making sure that, we cover that side of the people who can relate to that. And then we go into our sermon. Now, the sermon is the meat and potatoes of the podcast. That's the good shit.
That's the meat and potatoes.
That's where the good shit is going to be located. So you got to stick around. You got to stick around and see what's going to happen in the sermon, because what we've been working on is definitely going to engage us the most in the dialogue for this podcast and making sure that everything is covered in that sermon section. So that's the meat and potatoes. And then our benediction is where we just kind of close out, if anything is coming up again. And then because we are still very spiritual beings, we thought about actually closing out with a real prayer, or just saying a message or a takeaway that you just sit with until you hear our voices again, because you will hear our voices again.
Amen.
And closing it out that way so that this is something that we take serious. We want this to sit in your soul and manifest itself until the next time you hear us again, because like I said, I'm very passionate about this. This is something I don't take lightly. I'm very serious about this. I want it to be something that, again, we give to the people and they feel like they can connect with us, and making sure that there's a safe space, because you're safe here. There's no right or wrong. There's no, you got to meet, these certain requirements. Again, the podcast is called This Is For Everybody. We want y'all to just come in as you are. Ain't that what the church people say?
Yeah.
Come as you are.
Exactly. And we are literally dissecting the church, you know, because we both come from the church world, but we want to introduce the world to a new type of church.
Right.
A church that you feel and that makes sense to your everyday life, because outside of the church, there is regular, real shit life going on, and people need to be able to talk about it and know that people are out there going through the same thing. So I'll definitely say I want to thank the people that will be listening to this, are listening to this, and do you think that we want to bring it to a close?
I think we should. So let's just wrap it up.
Okay.
And we are going to, talk to you all at a later time. We thank you again for just simply rocking with us already. The fact that you pressed play on our country asses. Because let me tell you, I can talk I'm a good code switcher.
Yeah.
I can talk very, very eloquently.
Okay.
But then at the same time, you know what I'm saying? The motherfucker be talking like this.
Well, I used to work at a call center, and my name was Frank. My name was Frank.
Why?
And this is how I answered it. Because I'm going to tell you why. Because of this. Thank you for calling EK Communications. This is Frank. How may I help you?
Bitch.
That's why. That's exactly why.
Oh my God.
So the whole office, and this is what I was doing in high school. Okay. So I've been trained for a long time, but I have decided that it's time for me to get back to myself.
Right.
Because it's a time and a place for everything. And then when you're working for people, you realize that people don't give a fuck about you, your well-being. They give a fuck about their position, especially if they're in a leader position.
Okay.
They will use that to the motherfucking T.
For some leverage.
And when I became supervisors and managers in these fields, I realized that I can do this shit on my own.
Right.
And then also, if I have people under me, I will treat them like they are regular human beings.
Let me tell you, because...
Okay.
See, now we done got into a whole other topic.
Okay. I guess we ain't never gonna come to a close.
I guess not. Wait. Real shit. Fuck it.
No, go ahead. Do your thing.
So, since you got to talking about your jobs or whatever, so... Mr. Sound Man, is this all we gonna run all this shit together?
I mean, what you think, Spider? What do you think?
I think y'all are doing good, man.
Oh, you enjoying this?
Oh yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and if you're still feeling it, keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So I'm just saying, because we diving, we going all which kind of ways.
We really is.
And I don't know how he gonna chop this shit up. So I'm just like, bitch, let me just say whatever the hell that comes to my mind right now.
Because it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
So you started talking about jobs and how they just get a little beside themselves.
I definitely want to talk about where I come from, because you talked about where you come from. So go ahead and dive in and I'll follow you.
Yeah. So going back to a little bit about our background. So I have my degree in health promotion, pre-physical therapist. I wanted to be a physical therapist so bad, under the guise that it was for my grandfather. So everybody who knows me knows my grandfather is my man. Like, that was the one person in my life as a male figure who I'm weak about him still to this day.
Yeah, I feel you.
So he was everything to me, and he had cancer, and he was a double amputee, and I became fascinated with wanting to be a physical therapist because I saw my grandfather with no legs get back up on himself, because he's a very prideful man. He was like, you can't get me down. I'm a strong motherfucker. Like, you're not going to get me down.
Yeah.
So I saw him, I think I was in 5th grade when this started happening. I saw him walk with his prosthetics, and I was like, I want to be a physical therapist. I want to be able to give back to my grandfather and, care for him. He ain't got to go to nobody else. He can come to me. I got him. So went to school, thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, thought I wanted to, go into sports medicine and such. And then after graduation, I moved to Australia for a little bit, and I did a study abroad. That's a whole nother situation that we ain't got time for. Maybe one day if I get high and drunk enough, I'll tell you. But yeah. I moved to Australia, and my life literally changed because I had lost my grandfather 6 months prior to that to cancer. Mm-hmm. And Australia, I had never had an experience with depression until my grandfather passed away. And so Australia became an escape for me. I didn't go there for school. I knew that this was a way to get out. And if I felt like I can go halfway across the world, I could probably get through the fact that I just